this week's news of the social media of the week. Welcome. I don't know. It's a start. It's a start to the show, okay? So just bear with me. In my effort to find a better intro, I want to welcome you all to this week's episode, where we're gonna talk a little bit about some changes that are happening in social media platforms throughout the world. And of course, it wouldn't be a last week in social media episode if we didn't talk a little bit about Facebook and its effort to address the controversies of the last month. If you don't know, 2 weeks ago, Frances Haugen presented a report before the Congress of the US stating that Facebook is well aware of the harmful content and the hate it promotes, but chooses not to address it because it's more profitable. You can see the full video by clicking the card over here. In response to that, Facebook's VP of Global Affairs and Communication, Nick Clegg, said in an interview with CNN that Facebook is planning to address all these issues. He also talked about how they plan to make Instagram safer for teens, even though they paused the Instagram Kids program. This is what he said.
In the meantime, we're going to introduce new controls for adults of teens on an optional basis, obviously, so that adults can supervise what their teens are doing online. Where our systems see that a teen is looking at the same content over and over again, and it's content which may not be conducive to their well-being, we will nudge them to look at other content. And the third additional and new measure we're introducing is something called Take a Break, where we will be prompting teens to simply take a break from using Instagram.
I mean, yeah, because that's exactly how teen psychology works. The moment you nudge them, they drop everything they do and they go out to play in the films. Yeah, let me show it to you. I'll do a small reenactment. What are you doing, my son? I'm watching videos on Instagram, Dad. Well, I will have none of that. I'm giving you a nudge, telling you to stop doing what you're doing, and I prompt you to go out and play in the garden. Oh, Dad, thank you for dragging me out of social media hell and showing me what's really important in life. That's why I always say a nudge is the best form of parenting. Nudge, nudge, know what I mean? And the interesting thing is that other platforms have taken more decisive action to protect teens from harmful content. In a past episode that you can find here, we talked about how China's TikTok, Douyin, has made updates to the algorithm to make sure that there is a limited time that teens can stay in the platform, push more educational content, and block harmful content. Now, this tells me that the technology probably already exists and we can do a little bit more than nudge, nudge, say no more, but maybe this type of intrusion to social media and privacy would be a little bit too much for Western standards? I don't know, and this is the question that I want to ask you. Would you like more parental controls on Facebook and Instagram? Do you feel safe when your children are spending time in social media? Let me know in the comments below. In other news, have you ever imagined the hate and unrest you find in Twitter posts being shouted in your ears? If not, then probably you're not aware of Twitter Spaces. Twitter Spaces launched last May, and it's Twitter's answer to the success of Clubhouse. And I'm joking, people don't hate the same way they do on Twitter posts. So if you want to try your luck in an audio conversation app and you have 5K followers on Twitter, this might be your chance. Because Twitter launches Twitter Spaces Spark program to fund and support audio creators. In this 3-month program, eligible creators will get financial support of 7.5K USD, ad credits, and custom Spaces swag. Also, they will get early access to new Twitter products and features, as well as extra promotion and visibility through the platform. So a couple of things to unpack here. First of all, Twitter. Have you forgotten that Spark is the name of Facebook's AR development platform? Is it a coincidence? It can happen. I mean, I had the same problem when I was making my burger stand and I accidentally called it McDonald's. The logo was Donald Trump wearing a kilt. McDonald McTrump. But seriously, it's obvious that Twitter is very serious about Spaces. To make the feature more inclusive, they even rolled out an auto captions feature, which is kind of similar to what we see in Zoom. Is it time for Clubhouse to catch up on this technology? But they were as enthusiastic with their live streaming service Periscope, and that didn't go very well. Unlike other streaming services like Twitch and Facebook who are doing very well, Periscope had low interest and declining usage, and that's why it shut down. Which leads us to the conclusion that just because one format works well in a specific platform, that doesn't mean it will work as well on a different platform and different audience. Spaces was and still is a clear attempt to ride the hype of Clubhouse. And though Twitter might have some advantages over Clubhouse, that doesn't guarantee its success. So I'm going to leave you with this question. Are you a Twitter user and have you ever used Twitter Spaces? If yes, can you compare it with Clubhouse? Is it better? And are you thinking of applying for this fund? Also, would you buy a burger from McDonald's McTrump? The franchise is not dead. I think I will try again with this brand. And on the final news, did LinkedIn just leave China for good? Apparently so, since LinkedIn announced that they will be shutting down the Chinese version of the app after being sanctioned by Chinese officials for failing to control political content on its platform. Yeah, LinkedIn, why didn't you comply with the government like this other major platform and freedom of speech and stuff? How much will the loss be for LinkedIn? Well, according to their analysis, they are gonna lose 7% of its active users. That is 54 million users, which might sound a lot up until you compare it with LinkedIn's biggest rival, WeChat, which has 1.25 billion users. So LinkedIn is big in China, but not as big for Chinese standards. And to be honest, the platform had it rough from the beginning. LinkedIn's Chinese version, LinkedIn, was introduced in China in 2014, much to the amusement of the Chinese people. Because though LinkedIn means leading elites, a bad pronunciation of the word, which trust me, it's very easy to happen, will mean the spirit of an unborn child. You know, these are reasons why you shouldn't be trying to learn Mandarin, because you might go to a restaurant and try to order a tuna sandwich and you mispronounce a little bit and you end up calling the waiter the offspring of a sad salamander and a horny crab. It can happen. Still, it seems like LinkedIn hasn't given up on China. Mohak Shroff, the Senior Vice President and Head of Engineering, said that they are launching a standalone job app called InJobs. InJob will not include a social feed or the ability to share and post articles. So that tells us one thing. Though it is hard for international companies to comply with Chinese regulations, the value of the Chinese market is so big that platforms are willing to create Chinese-specific versions. So let me know in the comments below, did you have any dealings with companies in China through LinkedIn? And what are your thoughts in country-specific versions of apps? And that will conclude the episode for this week. Less dramatic than last week, thank goodness. So please subscribe so you will not miss the news of next week. And I will see you next week on the next episode, which is gonna be next week. The episode for next week and the news for this week.